This is your life. Do you want to avoid long-term pain? Like short-term pleasure gives long-term pain. I would ask them, is diabetes something that you're looking into getting?
Nathan, how did you find carnivore?
So I was doing keto for a year, and while doing keto for a year, it was working really good. And I was pretty much eating like meat, cheese, fruits, vegetables. I'd pretty much have like chicken salad all of the time. And this was before I knew that seed oils were bad. So I found that out a little bit later on. And so I'd put hot sauce on it. And I ended up dropping a whole lot of weight. And anyways, I thought, well, how much of a difference is carnivore? I love having high protein anyway within my diet due to, weightlifting, working out, things like that got require a high protein diet. Therefore, I was pretty open to the idea of carnivore because carbs, always like kept me bigger. I felt like crap. I felt bloated. Like I felt just always bloated and my stools were a little bit messed up having all of the carbs. So, and ultimately, I had a lot more energy without the carbohydrates, which, is kind of funny. People would be like, you need the carbohydrates for the energy. But actually, getting into a state of ketosis, I've come to find I have way more energy than I ever did eating the carbs.
So what kind of timeline is it here, like as far as being starting keto and then getting onto carnivore?
So I started keto not this last December, but the one before. And I mean, I would dabbled with keto a little bit, but I'd still want to have my carbs. And I decided to jump all in. And so that's about a year time frame. So then by next January, that brings me to the carnivore. Last January, I started doing the carnivore. And I did a very strict 30-day carnivore. And I mean, in my Snapchat, every single day, I'd have a picture of, even if it was pork, I mean, I would do whatever I could to let everybody know that I am doing this challenge. And people called me crazy. They called me whichever. And I'm like, I feel so good. If only you knew how good it feels to do this. And it's crazy how good I felt when doing that. I slept way better. My muscle recovery was way up high. When I started doing carnivore, I actually changed a lot of other aspects of my life as well. So, like, I started doing cold showers. I started reading a lot more and doing pretty much looking at like things that I ingest as nutrition. It's not just like what I'm eating, it's, what am I listening to on a daily basis and feeding my brain? Like things like that, where it's way deeper than, just having a good diet.
So yeah, it's pretty safe to say that, you've had a massive improvement in kind of the clarity of thought and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's given me a whole other mindset, when it comes to, having a growth mindset. The hunters back then, when they were getting their food, when their food got away, they didn't just complain about it. They fasted and they said, how can I improve better so I can catch this animal and feed my family as well as myself? So I don't have to fast 2 days in a row. Right. So that's the mindset that I take life. If I make a mistake at some point, it's like, how can I improve this to be better? That kind of a thing. So that's what like carnivore is really open doors for in that aspect is just massive amounts of growth. I look at it even as, me in the food chain here. By reading and doing the self improvement, you know, I go from being here on the animal chain to being up here on the animal chain, if that makes sense.
So one of the things that I experienced when I started carnivore that I'd never had before was getting the carbs out of my diet. I think just it got rid of that bloating, of course, but then it was almost like a feeling of lightness in my body, a feeling of like when I would move around, I wouldn't be walking, I'd be almost floating. It was like just everything became lighter. Did you kind of feel that way?
I definitely did.
You work out,
Yep.
right? So the typical advice is, of course, you got to have your carbs for a workout.
Yeah, got to have your carbs before the workout, after chicken and rice. And that's how I started off with the gym too, is I would do, the chicken and rice, always have
Mm.
my carbs, overnight oats, things like that. And
Yeah.
I still am told this by people throughout the day, why aren't you drinking protein shakes? Well, because it's not natural. Like the protein shakes, there's added sugars in there, there's added stuff in there. I
Mm.
don't see it as the best way of getting my protein. Why not have as much food that has the protein as opposed to having these powders? Because I would do the powders, and I noticed the bloating was really bad in my stomach, where I just would have constant diarrhea. I felt just like crap, really, and I'd be looking at myself every day in the mirror, and I'm like, my weight's still there. I know I'm gaining some muscle, but I'm not losing the guts. And I was wondering what was going on there. And I would train harder. I'd go, 3 to 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and still nothing. So mind
Mm.
you, um, when I was at that point too, I was drinking on the weekend, so like alcohol. And I've noticed letting go of alcohol has opened so many doors too on losing weight, and I felt so much better as well. And that's a sugar. Alcohol is also carbohydrates, a lot of them. So by letting go of the carbs and the alcohol, I actually lost, I'd say, 40 pounds, and within like a 6 month time period. And healthily, I wasn't like fasting. I just was doing the keto diet and not eating as much always, but still staying full, that kind of thing, and just being fairly healthy, not eating at nighttime. Oh man, that's a big thing. A lot of people do that. I used to eat at nighttime all the time.
Then
And
go
as a
straight to
kid,
bed and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And you wake up and you're just like, ah.
Mm. So I kind of I can feel you on the lump in your stomach always being there when you're doing the protein shakes and all that kind of thing. That's one of the things that made it difficult for me to ever stay at a gym for any length of time, because you're always looking down thinking, I'm doing all this work and nothing's changing.
Yeah. And they would
So
say, diet is 75% of it, which 100% I will back that. It's definitely 75% of it because I'm putting in that same work I did then. But the thing is I changed the way that I was eating. I changed everything. And I'm pretty much like what my diet is. I've actually had a few slips on carnivore, and I went, to like a keto. I've even had some binges in chocolate even within the last. And how I felt on the chocolate was terrible. I haven't had a candy bar in 10 days, and you know what? That's a victory for me because some people end up going back, every here and there. If you see the candy bar and you're like, sure, I'll give it a try. Why not? And then I try it and I'm like, wow, I'm breaking out. I have zits all over, zits on my back. I feel bloated again. It's terrible.
it's you always feel like it looks okay. I'm going to be all right. I'll just eat one. And as soon as you're finished, you feel terrible, right?
Yeah, absolutely horrible. Yeah. And I went like probably 10 days of having, a Reese's peanut butter cup every single day. sometimes I'd have a couple of other candy bars. And it got to, another point where I'm like, man, when I was strict carnivore, I didn't feel any of this. And I suggest this for anybody watching this too, for them, from a guy that, has went a full 30 days completely strict. I'm talking no cheese, even as a condiment. I'm talking just meat, eggs, and salt. I did do black coffee though, but even that is not bad, compared to, some other ways of doing it. Like, oh yeah, I'll do carnivore, but I'll have, this to drink that, might have some added ingredients that isn't water, that kind of thing. So I look at it like this. I know what works, and that is the carnivore. So yeah, man, I've been doing the strict carnivore for the last 10 days, just killing it.
Awesome. And generally you've been on carnivore since January this year. You've had
Absolutely.
those hiccups, but yeah. So your energy's better, your thinking's better, you're more motivated to read and do all these things. Um, have you noticed any other differences?
I guess not all that too much. I mean, I never really had health problems, knock on wood, so far, but I just noticed that, looking good in shape, feeling good, having good energy, getting proper sleep, and just I feel a lot better than I used to, mental health wise in general. And I think part of it too, besides eating all healthy stuff too, it takes a level of discipline to eat only healthy stuff. And, I'm not going to allow this. If it's not this, it's poison, that kind of a thing. So by doing that, I've gained a lot more self-esteem. When I was a kid, I had the standard American diet. I was really big on thinking for the short term. So, for example, my dad, he worked all the time. So, if there was, TV dinners, I would cook that. I would always cook like TV dinners, ultra processed foods, that kind of a thing every single day, day and night, drinking sodas, all of that. And I felt like crap as a kid, and also too, I gained, a decent amount of weight as a kid as well, and I would just eat Hot Pockets all the time.
As kids do, especially if you're unsupervised, right? It's just, I'm just going to eat what I want to eat, right? Because it is, as you say, it's short term. I mean, kids
Right.
can't think long term, right?
Right. Yeah. No, I didn't have the capacity at that age. I said, I want what I want and I want it now. I don't want to really cook anything for myself because I want it right now. And that was a lot of my life. And throughout my, early 20s, same thing. It was processed foods. Oh, I'm gonna go out to eat. I'm gonna have McDonald's. I'm gonna have Taco Bell. I'm gonna have, some pizza. Whatever I could get really fast. Or I'd just make like meat and cheese, like whatever I could just for the short run. And then I started, working out, doing the meal preps. So, the chicken, the rice, blah, blah, blah. So I started to learn a little bit about, looking at the long term a little bit more. And I just did what my friend told me at that time. He said, hey, you just eat this. Because I'm like, what do you eat? Like, I don't know what a diet is. Is it salads? And he's like, no, it's not salads. I'm like, thank God, because I don't want to do salads. And it's like, no, man, just have like chicken, rice, you can have your plants, you can have some fruits. If you get this, yogurt, but it's like non-sweetened yogurt, you could put fruit in there, all of that. So that was what, I knew of for a while. And my sister, you had an interview with her and Justin. She really told me what the real way of eating is, the proper human diet, so to speak. And it was fun too. I'd tell her like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I don't know about the keto thing. And it got to a point that I was so tired of having no results. I said, Haley, I'll do it. And it's kind of cool having somebody, teach you everything that you need to know, and that is something that she taught me. She's like, don't touch that. That seed oil's here. I'm going to teach you how to read the nutrition labels. It looks like it's got, soybean oil in there. You don't want to have that. And most peanut butters these days have soybean oil. And I was like, man, that's like a big source of fat and protein that I would have in my diet in the beginning. So, it was a bit of an adjustment, so to speak. But
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you eating day to day now?
I have a lot of meat. I have a lot of cheese, a lot of hamburger. I went for a huge, a huge thing on like ribeye steaks, a huge binge on ribeye steaks. I love my ribeyes. But I'll have some eggs, and then I'll have hamburger meat. Then I'll also have like beef roast. Sometimes I'll cook like a whole beef roast like as a steak, and it's like super hard. You know what I mean? Like I'm not making it in the crock pot. Kind of looks like one of those Dr. Sean Baker steaks that he has. He's got the big cutting board and the huge steak. Yeah, I go for that. I like that. And I'll have that. I'll have black coffee. I always have black coffee. And then I have water. I have a jug of water every single day. And I make sure to drink all of that water and then some. And then I also have some sparkling waters. I like those for a little bit of pleasure. Other than that, um, that's pretty much the meat and cheese, I guess, of what I have. Here and there, I'll have fruits, vegetable. I'm kind of anti-plants. Therefore, that's something that I push a little bit away of. But yeah, pretty much just meat and cheese.
And so is that one meal a day, two meals a day, or is it more of an intuitive kind of eating?
I'll eat like twice a day. So like once in the morning and then once a little bit after work. And then I'll be done until, maybe later in the morning before I go to work and then after work.
You mentioned, you're Snapchatting all your food before.
Yeah.
What do people around you think about this?
Honestly, I got a lot of mixed emotions. So some people think like, oh, this is not good for you. You're gonna get vitamin C deficient. You're gonna get gout. What I mean, they came up with every excuse. A lot of people did, and I'm like, really? Actually, there's people studying this. There's doctors. They are studying the scientific aspects of this diet. This is not it. And but I'm also getting a lot of people that are like, how do you feel on it? They always say that. How do you feel on carnivore? Because they're interested in the idea of if you're feeling good and this is working for you, I'll maybe give it a shot. You know what I mean when they say that, like, how do you feel on it? Yeah, you got interest. Well, why don't you try it? Tell you what, it feels amazing. It's the best choice I've ever made in my life. But you shouldn't just take my word for it. You should probably just try it yourself and see how it feels for you. And then there's the vegan people, which I'm not going to get too big on there, but I'm on one end of the spectrum and they're on the other end of the spectrum. And we just kind of agree to disagree.
But it's really good when you do get people that show a bit of interest because it's also an easy thing where an easy sell because you're not actually selling something, right? It's not like you're selling diet powders or things like that. You're just like, just go to the grocery store and try it. There's
Right.
no program to buy.
Right. It's
Hmm.
right here. This is it. You don't have to buy nothing from me. This is all natural. This is it right here. These are the hardest sells though. So I just got my certified personal trainer. Yeah, so I got that certification, and that is a really hard sell. Health and wellness is very hard. I quit smoking. I'm coming up on 6 months, no smoking or vaping. Carnivore got me to quit that because I'm like, well, if I can quit this bad food, how, why can't I quit the cigarettes? You know what I mean? And I let those go due to this vision. And the vision is, with the mind, you can achieve anything possible. And I want to preach health and wellness to other people. Therefore, you have to behave health and wellness, that kind of a thing. So yeah, I quit smoking 6 months ago. Carnivore did that, to even help with. If I wouldn't have done carnivore, I don't know if I would have had, the self-discipline to do that. You know what I mean? So I quit cigarettes in February 22nd of this year.
That's awesome. As a former smoker, I can understand how big of a thing that is. It's
Yeah,
massive.
yeah,
So I agree with you. Like carnivore makes kind of things like this a bit easier. I think it just gives you this level of self-control that you never experience when you're having a lot of carbohydrate, especially processed carbohydrate. If you're with a friend or a client and they're thinking about giving this a try, how would you recommend they actually get started so that it's easier for them to stick to it?
I'll be completely honest. Not everybody is an all-in, dive in right away. I would suggest keto, to be completely honest. I'd say, all right, just keep it simple, just no seed oils, just have like chicken. You can have some cheese, you can have any meats. Like be pretty much carnivore, you could have like yogurt, you can have dairy, that kind of thing. You could have fruits, vegetables. Like I wouldn't be pushing them to let go of all of that right away because I wasn't able to do that. If somebody told me to just eat meat, like 2 years ago, I would have said, no, man, no, I like this. I like that. I wouldn't have been willing. But, as I got more towards the carnivore, it was a lot easier to make that choice due to the fact that I was already adjusting my diet more so towards the carnivore to make up for the proteins that I was missing out on. So, that's kind of where I would be at. I'd say, yeah, go keto. You want to lose, 40 pounds in this amount of time, you're going to need to work out this many days. You're going to need to do this kind of training. And this is going to be your meal plan. If you want the best success, this is going to be it for you. And that's the God-given truth. And they can look at me and they know that I'm somebody to give that actual advice to because I look
Right.
fit. If I didn't look fit, I'd be like, this person's really going to help me lose weight. This person,
Yeah,
I'd
that's
be
like the
very,
stereotypical obese doctor telling you, oh, you need to have a balanced diet to get healthy. It's like, I don't think I can
yeah,
trust this doctor.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, how would you address the concern that people have that it's too restrictive?
I mean, this is your life, you know, this is your life. Do you want to avoid long-term pain? Like short-term pleasure gives long-term pain. I would ask them, is diabetes something that you're looking into getting? Are you looking into getting, maybe some heart problems, some stroke problems, whichever problems, gut issues, cancers, if that's something you want, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're looking to, live a healthy lifestyle, add some extra years on your life for your family and ultimately feel healthy, you don't have to go to the doctor. I mean, you're saving money on the doctor bills by living a healthy way. When I was, oh, that's another thing I didn't think about. This last winter, I didn't really even get sick at all because of the carnivore diet. It was like actually like I felt so good that like my immune system, I wasn't getting sick. I overall felt absolutely amazing. My health was at optimal state. And it's kind of a crazy thing when you think about carnivore and all of this. And my allergies to animals was like a lot less too, like very, very dulled, if that makes sense. Like it didn't affect me that much. My immune system was great. I'm just thinking, hmm, I didn't really have any vitamin C outside, the animals. I wasn't eating like organs or anything. I did try liver. I decided I'm good on that. I'll just stick to the steaks and the hamburger, the lamb, whichever. But I'm not feeling the organ meats. But I hear that
Yeah,
the liver, there's a lot more vitamin C in that particular.
I think that's a
Crazy.
pretty common response, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Nathan, can you tell us a little bit about how we can contact you and maybe a little bit about your training business?
Yeah, absolutely. So me and my sister, we share a YouTube account. So that is metabolically lifted. That's what the channel is called. And what we're doing is we are preaching the proper human diet. I will make little funny skits. We're looking to educate the youth, the adults, everybody on everything. And Hilly's a certified keto coach, so she knows the logistics behind this diet a lot too. She has taken a lot of time educating herself, on everything. So to where she can literally give doctorly advice. I mean, for the most part. Like she has a lot of knowledge based on it. And that would be a good way to get a hold of us. And what I was looking at doing as well is I would love it if you shouted us out because I would love to get that little push to just get us going, a little bit further. So I'd like to get some more clientele and, get people really on board with the way that we're doing things. Because exercise and wellness, I think everybody should be doing it. And if there's anybody to lead it, I believe me and my sister would be amazing at it.
Awesome. So yeah, I'll link to your channel in the show notes, and um, I really appreciate you coming on today, Nathan, and sharing your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.